Hey guys. This is part 3 of What If Sarada Went Back in Time and Met Team 7. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 8. What's a Mango-Cute Sharingan? Naruto asks. Mangekyo, Sarada corrects in a low voice. It's an advanced form of Sharingan that can grant powerful abilities. But it comes at a great cost. Her expression morphs into sudden understanding as if she's putting together something in her head. Her eyes, now back to normal, flit towards Sasuke, but he refuses to look at her, his fists clench. It's a secret of the Uchiha clan, he bites out. You shouldn't speak of it so openly. Naruto chuckles nervously and tries to joke. Yeah, Sarada, listen to your father. Shut up, Sakura orders. Her entire body is rigid, muscles coiled like springs. While Naruto finds the whole situation astonishing and somewhat humorous, Sakura at least has the decency to be serious. Sasuke doesn't even know how to react properly. He shuts his eyes, but the image of Sarada, his future daughter, refuses to abate. He feels like an idiot for not seeing it sooner. Sarada looks like him. More than that, he can see the curve of his mother's smile in hers and in the softness of her features. There's a tiny line in her forehead that his father had when he frowned. And her eyelashes, long, just like Itachi's were, are. An overwhelming wave of pain crashes over Sasuke as he realizes the reason he didn't notice was because it's been so long. He's forgotten his family's features beyond what can be seen in photographs. Photographs he has refused to look at for 5 years. There are other characteristics, though, that don't resemble his at all. Sarada's eyes might be the same color, but they are wider and oval-shaped, like a cat's. Her face shape is entirely different, and she wears glasses, which is an utterly foreign concept to him. Sasuke can't remember if there has ever been an Uchiha who wore glasses before, but then he realizes, with no other clan member to marry, his future self must, undoubtedly choose an outsider. Likely, the weaker eyesight comes from that person, which brings up an even more confusing question. Despite his earlier words, Sasuke can't help wondering who it is that he marries in the future. Based on what Sarada can do, and the things that she said, her mother is obviously a formidable woman. It's simple and logical, and he supposes his future self would want the fittest candidate to ensure he reestablishes the Uchiha to be stronger than ever. A tiny, nagging disappointment flickers at the back of his mind that it's not Sakura. He never said outright that he doesn't like her. He doesn't dislike her, and amazingly, she's less irritating than the other girls from their age group. As a teammate, she's someone he trusts, possibly the only girl he's ever trusted. In a way, she's been his default choice the few times he's ever pictured himself married or with a family. A part of him has always expected that once he went off to kill Itachi, he would return, and she would be there waiting for him. Now he realizes how naive that is. He assumed she would never get over the silly crush she has on him, but Sarada's existence suggests she did. Sakura will likely grow up, finally realize she isn't cut out to be a ninja and get over him. She will go on with her life while his future self makes more practical decisions concerning the future of the Uchiha. This future is what's optimal for both of us. Sakura is a kind-hearted girl who deserves someone who can return her feelings completely. Not an avenger. He can't help being a little terrified though, because at least Sakura is familiar to him. And with Sarada here, it means he now has tangible proof that he will one day achieve his goals. The second one being true all but proves the first is as well. And yet, for whatever reason, he doesn't feel as accomplished as he thought he would. The heavy, invisible burden that has weighted down his heart since he discovered his family dead is not gone. Restoring the clan is good news. There's an odd sense of pride flickering to the surface, having seen what Sarada can do. She has strength and endurance and intelligence, everything an Uchiha should have, but the knowledge that he has killed Itachi already somewhere in the future? An uncomfortable hollowness settles in his gut. Kakashi was right about what he said before, knowing the future is dangerous. Better to focus on the present, and the questions that can be answered now. The only way to get the Mangekyo Sharingan is to kill the person you love most, Sasuke states blandly, addressing Kakashi. That's right, isn't it? That's how you got yours? There are gasps of dismay from the girls, and Naruto is even shocked into silence. Yes, Kakashi confirms. Was it the Uchiha whose Sharingan you possess? It's a tactless question, but there's no other way to ask it. No. That was, before Kakashi hedges. He saved my life, saved our entire squad, and then gave me his eye so that I could save the girl we both cared for. So, it was her then. Kakashi closes his eyes and that's all the confirmation he needs. Sasuke wants to press the issue, but the others are listening too raptly. He doesn't want them to notice his interest. Obviously, Kakashi doesn't want to talk about how he was granted this ability. Sasuke knows why, of course, but he is furious that his teacher kept something like this from him. The Jonin is the only one around with a Sharingan who Sasuke can look to for guidance, someone who can help him understand and deal with what he read on the tablet at the Naka Shrine. Things he thought were secret, things that gave him nightmares because, one day, he will have to. No. That will not happen, Sasuke tells himself firmly, because Sarada has already said she knows all of them in the future, a weird concept in itself, so it means that he and Naruto live. It means he never has to kill the person who has slowly and irritatingly wormed his way into Sasuke's life as his best friend. There's more relief there than he expects. Except, Sarada didn't say anything about Sakura. Sasuke mentally flips through every interaction they've had with the girl but can't find any definitive proof that Sarada has mentioned knowing Sakura in the future. She gave them future information earlier, but she didn't mention Sakura at all. Does that mean? He has trouble forming the thought. Does that mean the person I care about most, the person I have to kill to have eyes like Itachi, is Sakura? This time the discomfort in his gut is a knife-like nausea. Kakashi-sensei, the pink-haired girl murmurs quietly. I'm sorry, now isn't the time, he replies, shaking his head. We have to get out of here. You're barely able to sit up, let alone walk. I don't think we're going anywhere anytime soon, Sarada points out. Besides, you already caught the teleporter with whatever you did, Sakura adds. The determined expression on her face suggests focus, but her eyes are suspiciously guarded. Unless he can escape? No, that's impossible. Only I have access to that dimension. So it is another dimension. Yes, Kakashi says, frowning a little at Sakura's uncharacteristic calm. The technique is called Kamui. With great focus, I can shift objects or people and the surrounding space into a dimension that's connected to my Sharingan. But there's a drawback, obviously. He gestures weakly at his still limp body. He hasn't regained the sensation in his legs yet, and his arms only marginally. Yeah, like the bleeding eye, Naruto mumbles. I'm going to have nightmares. It's kind of like a weaker version of what the teleporter can do, Sakura observes. The opposite, actually. In fact, until encountering our mysterious vanishing clone friend, I would have said Kamui was more advanced as it doesn't require summoning seals or genetically engineered tattoos. He's a clone? Sarada questions. You're sure? Oh yes, Kakashi replies, grim. Granted, I didn't see it right away, but once I got close enough I did. His looks are far too similar to Lord Force to be coincidental, but the curse seal and advanced techniques suggest genetic modification. But he doesn't look a thing like the pictures I've seen of the fourth Hokage, Sarada protests. Besides, the Naruto would have noticed, wouldn't he? Huh! Naruto blinks. Why would I notice? Kakashi's eyes widen, and he opens his mouth to cut her off. But Sarada has already answered. Well, come on. He's your dad. I'm sure you'd recognize him. She rolls her eyes. Then she looks thoughtful. Maybe not. You guys aren't great with the observation skills. Now or in my time, now that My dad? Naruto repeats. Another heavy silence fills the cavern and Sarada stills. She studies the myriad of expressions passing over the faces of her parents and uncles. Why are you looking at me like I've just told you something surprising? Because you did, Kakashi tells her through gritted teeth. Not that she can hear him because Naruto begins to shout. What do you mean, my dad? How do you know who my dad is? I don't even, but you said he's… But why wouldn't… Wait. Hold on. Back up. Sakura interrupts almost as disbelieving as Naruto. Beside her, even Sasuke can't quite hide his dawning shock. Are you trying to say that Naruto's father was, the fourth Hokage? Sasuke finishes. Naruto looks like he's been turned to stone. You mean? Sarada looks at the flabbergasted faces all around her, and her cheeks pale. You guys didn't know that? Sarada, Kakashi begins, resisting the urge to pinch the bridge of his nose. What? We talked about this. Hey, you said future information. She protests, her voice high-pitched in dismay. This is past information. Everyone knows Uncle Naruto. He always talks about his dad and how awesome he was. How was I supposed to stop talking? Just don't say anything else for a minute while Kakashi-sensei? You knew? Naruto demands with words laced with hurt. You knew my father was the fourth Hokage? And you never said anything? There's nothing for it now. Kakashi wonders exactly how many secrets will come out before the day is done. Although this one should have come out much sooner, he maintains privately. Yes, Naruto, I've always known. Minato-sensei was my teacher, and for that reason, among others, I was assigned to become your teacher, and you never told me. Naruto shouts, on his feet with his fists clenched. There's a dangerous, animalistic flash in his eyes just then, and Kakashi tenses up. Trapped in a tiny cavern with a limited air supply and severe exhaustion is not the ideal scenario to deal with Naruto, channeling the Nine Tails. I wasn't allowed, he replies, keeping his tone careful and even. It was his wish, and Lord Third's, that you grow up safe. He was a great man, but he had a lot of enemies. If they had known about you, what about my mother? Naruto interrupts. Did you know her too, Naruto? Kakashi warns. No! You need to tell me. Naruto shouts. Why does Sasuke get to find out about his family? Family he doesn't even have yet, but I can't. He rounds on Sarada. Do I talk about her? Who was she? What was her name? What did she? He seizes Sarada by the shoulders, and she inhales sharply in pain. Before Sasuke is aware of himself, he has darted forward and shoved Naruto away from the girl. You idiot! Her shoulder, but Naruto barely notices. He clutches his stomach, feeling as if he is going to be sick. Something ugly and hot claws at him from within. Everything he's ever known about his idol seems to be playing on a loop inside of his head. The fourth, Naruto says, eyes going unfocused. He was the one who, his fingers fist into the fabric of his jacket, and Kakashi knows exactly what realization he's just had. The fourth Hokage was the one who sealed the Nine-Tails Fox into Naruto. The boy has always known that, but to realize now that it was his father. Calm down, Kakashi cautions, trying to get to his feet but failing. Just let me explain, don't you fucking touch me. Naruto growls, betrayal and hurt radiating from him. He staggers away from them, fading into the shadows, and then he turns and runs. The darkness of the tunnel consumes him quickly, and soon there is nothing but the sound of his footsteps getting farther away. Naruto! Kakashi calls after him, but he is too helpless to move. The stupid halfwit is going to get himself lost, Sasuke mutters, pushing himself into a standing position as if he is resigned to going after him. To his surprise, a hand reaches out to stop him. I've got it, Sakura says, though she doesn't look at him. In her hand, she brandishes a glow stick. I don't think he'll want to talk to any of you right now. The tremble in her voice suggests she shares that sentiment. Sakura, that's not a good idea, Kakashi says. Although he doubts that even in a rage Naruto would hurt the girl, today is shaping up to be a day where the unthinkable comes to pass. Tempting fate would be unwise. Have you got a better one? She challenges bluntly. Before anyone can reply or move to stop her, she too disappears into the unknown. As Naruto and Sakura's footsteps fade into the distance, Sarada experiences a sinking sensation in her stomach. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I didn't mean to. She laments. I'm so sorry. I thought, it's fine, Sarada, Kakashi says, his tone weary. I guess it was too much to hope we could keep everything quiet. Though that particular conversation was not one I was expecting to come up today, I shouldn't have said anything. Why did I just, ugh? Sarada grasps at her hair in frustration. How am I ever supposed to be a great shinobi if I can't protect information? Time travel isn't exactly something covered by shinobi laws, Kakashi points out. The fact is, the longer we're all around each other, the more information will come out. It's what happens when you know someone really well. He tries to smile at her. Even if you don't realize you know that person well. Yeah, right. Tell that to my dad, Sarada mutters. He's a champion at not telling people things. Kakashi coughs and Sarada winces. Damn it! I did it again, she berates herself. Again, she forgot that she's not sitting down at Uncle Kakashi's kitchen table to complain about her mother accidentally breaking their house or her father's frequent absences. This Kakashi doesn't possess years of parenting experience, has probably never had his students come to him for emotional problems, especially not to this surly, younger version of her father sitting right beside her. Thankfully, this Sasuke is different enough from her father that she doesn't feel embarrassed, or caught out at talking about him behind his back. Or, in front of him, she reflects, noting that time travel really plays havoc with grammar. As it is, he doesn't even seem to notice her say anything. He's been disturbingly quiet since his impromptu intervention with Naruto. In fact, almost as soon as he helped her, he put at least 3 feet of space between them. He's not even looking at me, she realizes. In fact, I don't think he's looked straight at me since we talked about the fate of the Uchiha clan. That hurts more than she'd like. And so she feels a spring of hope when he does finally glance in her direction. There's something I need you to tell me, Sasuke tells her matter-of-factly. Her shoulders slump a bit. He's addressing her, but he's looking at his sensei. Just because I said we can't keep everything under wraps doesn't mean you should go asking questions about the future, Kakashi warns. I have no interest in my future self, if that's what you're worried about. She exists, he says, nodding his head in Sarada's direction, but otherwise not acknowledging her. Therefore, I achieve everything I plan to. Sarada tries not to feel like she's been slapped in the face. His words are flat and overly rational, as if he's commenting on something as everyday as the weather. There's no trace of the man she knows, the one who stayed away from his family to keep them safe. Her mind offers up a bittersweet memory. Do you think that your heart is truly connected to Mama's? Yeah, but how can you be so certain about that? Because we have you, Sarada. If she asked him the same question now, she can't even guess what he'd say. She suspects she doesn't want to. If I don't find out now, there could be repercussions on my performance for the rest of the mission. And possibly future missions, Sasuke continues to explain, his voice measured and detached. Kakashi narrows his eyes. This has to do with the Mangekyo. Yes, it's not a good idea. The only way to achieve my revenge is to gain the Mangekyo. There's only one way to do it, Sasuke continues, ignoring him. I need to know. Sarada shakes her head, disbelieving. You're talking about murder like it's nothing. She remembers what Kakashi said earlier and clenches her fists. Both of you. That's not, Sasuke begins, and for the first time, he seems to lose his composure because he swallows heavily. That's not why I'm asking. Oh yeah? Then why are you asking? And what makes you think I can tell you anything anyway? I didn't know anything about the Mangekyo Sharingan except that it existed. My father never told me. It seems important that this Sasuke understands she doesn't consider him to be the same person. I guess he doesn't want me killing the people I care about so I can be more powerful. Now, he finally looks at her and his Sharingan bores into her with something like grief. But that can't be it, right? Earlier you mentioned all of us, Kakashi, Naruto and me, he bites out through gritted teeth. As he did with Kakashi, he ignores her words, powering through to whatever it is he so desperately wants to find out. You said nothing about Sakura. Do you not? Is she still alive in your time? Sasuke, Kakashi warns. Sarada wants to imagine he's asking because he cares. She wants to believe the best, that he's concerned he might lose one of his teammates, that maybe he does care about Sakura and this is his roundabout way of asking if she's still in his life. Except she's seen enough of this Sasuke to suspect that's not it. He is such a dark, damaged boy. Do you actually care? She snaps. Or are you just worried about the trouble you'll get in if you need to kill your friend? Then again, I guess it's not something you really care about, considering. He narrows his eyes. You don't understand what you're talking about. But Sarada isn't having any of that. She's kept her mouth shut the whole day and she has a bone or two to pick with her father. She jabs a finger at him. I've seen how you treat her. All day, you've acted like she's beneath you. And that makes it hard for me to trust that you care about what happens to her. You care more about killing people, like my uncle, which you still never explained, by the way. So how do I know that if I say Sakura's dead, you won't decide to kill her now so you can get a stronger Sharingan? There's a sharp intake of breath, but she doesn't pay attention to whether it comes from Sasuke or Kakashi. How do I know that if I say she's alive, you won't tell me to list the people you care about so that you can try to kill them, because you already said everyone else I care about is still alive? Sasuke explodes. Sarada freezes, not expecting him to say anything like that. Judging from his face, he didn't expect it either. His eyes dart to Kakashi, then back to her. His expression hardens. You're right. You're not cut out to be a shinobi, he snarls, stalking away. You should have kept your damn mouth shut. Don't get mad at me because you don't like what I have to say. Or in this case, what you have to say. But he's already gone, taken off in the direction Naruto and Sakura disappeared into. As soon as his back retreats into the darkness, realization hits Sarada and her head falls into her uninjured hand. I'm an idiot, she mutters. I did it again. What is wrong with me? If I were to hazard a guess, Kakashi remarks lightly, while it seems you inherited your parents' best qualities, you've obviously inherited their worst ones as well. Namely, their tempers. I didn't even realize Papa had a temper. Oh, it's not as obvious as your mother's, but it's there. And they're both the worst sort of impulsive. Ironically enough, Naruto isn't the one most guided by his emotions on this squad. Sarada sighs. Is that how you figured it out? Well, that and I'm a little more observant than 3 genin are, even if one of them possesses the Sharingan, Kakashi says. When did you realize? I suspected who your father was before we came to check this place out. After that, well, I look at both your parents daily. I can pick their features out on your face now that I'm looking for it. And most people aren't so aware of their own physical traits that they'd notice them in someone else. Which is why none of them notice yet. That or they just don't care to look, Sarada grumbles, reflecting on Sasuke's strictly utilitarian view of the world. He's seriously supposed to be a genius? Kakashi chuckles. Definitely an interesting dynamic between you two. It's not, I didn't mean. Sarada attempts, and then sighs. I've never spoken to my father this way. Well, except for that one time, but he deserved it. Oh, he deserved it in this case too. Yeah? Yes. But in this time, we all tend to have a blind spot when it comes to your father. I don't get why. He's a jerk. Keep in mind that he's likely a very different person from who he's going to be in your time. Oh, trust me, I get that. Completely different. I mean, still a jerk, but he cares about people. He cares about her and her mother. He's friends with Naruto, and respects Kakashi, and he's a good teacher to Boruto from what she's seen. Sasuke, our Sasuke, cares too. He's just gotten so good at repressing it. Only the people who see him every day can feel it. Sarada fights the temptation to cross her arms, mostly because she can't. I'm sure you've heard enough about your father to understand his childhood wasn't an easy one. It's only been 5 years since he lost his entire family, Kakashi explains. And it's very recently that he had another run-in with his brother. He nearly died. Sarada opens her mouth. No. I will not tell you about any of that. Sakura was right earlier. If your parents didn't tell you the story, it means it's a conversation you're meant to have with them when they decide you're ready. Sarada pouts. I hate it when you do that. Do what? Act all logical and stuff. It's the only thing that's the same, Kakashi exhales. Which brings me to the other issue. You and I need to go over a few things you're not allowed to talk about. You couldn't have done this hours ago? She deadpans. I honestly hoped we would discover the reason for our spontaneous time travel before it became an issue, he replies, apologetic. As it is, I will need to use a memory erasing seal when this is all over. We all possess far too much knowledge about the future. You can do that? Yes. In fact, it's a technique Lord Forth taught me. Then why did you make such a big deal about me not saying anything? Sarada growls. I've been beating myself up all day trying not to give away too much, and you can just make everyone forget? It's not so simple. The more you reveal, the more elaborate the seal will need to be, and the more potential it has to lose effectiveness over time. It really is essential that we keep the information exchange to a minimum. While you're at it, is there some kind of seal you can use on me to keep me from saying anything else? Sarada beseeches. I don't want to screw up again. The only technique I'm familiar with would be tied to the user's life force, in this case, mine. I'd be required to die before you could speak freely. Somehow, I doubt that's the best solution to our problem. No. So as I said before, we need to agree on a few things that are imperative you not to talk about. Okay, first of all, there are some village secrets that may or may not have come out by your time, but you need to keep quiet about them now. Like the fact that Naruto is a Jinchuriki? Yes. Like that, Kakashi replies severely. That would be one of those things you don't mention to the others. They haven't been told the truth, and village secret aside, I can't risk the information affecting their teamwork. Got it. Also, I'm sure you understand why I'm going to say this, but we should keep your mother's identity quiet. I don't think any of them could handle it right now. That's an understatement, Sarada decides. This version of Mama might explode her head or something. Or spend the rest of the mission making cow eyes at Sasuke. She feels a little disloyal, advocating keeping such a thing secret. Based on how Sakura's been acting since everyone found about Sarada's connection to Sasuke, it's clear she's in pain. Sarada doesn't want to hurt her mother, but at the same time, nothing in the other girl's behavior suggests the kind of maturity needed to accept the truth. I agree, she says with a sigh. I don't like it, but I get it. Good, Kakashi says. Now, it goes without saying that you can't mention. His words wash over her, outlining the topics she has to keep from speaking about. Against her will, her eyes drift to the tunnel where her parents and Naruto disappeared into. Not for the first time does she wish it were their adult versions here with her. Chapter 9. Naruto doesn't pay attention to where he's going. All that matters is not being anywhere near his wide-eyed teammates, his lying sensei, or the strange girl who knows more about him than he ever did. How could they keep this from me? How could they not tell me? It's not only Kakashi or the third Hokage either. Iruka would know, and even though he understood what it was like to grow up without parents, he never had the decency to tell Naruto. Deep within him, Naruto imagines that he hears laughter. Shut up, you stupid fox, he orders. You're calling me stupid? That's a bit ironic, the demon sneers. You're the thickhead who couldn't figure out that people were lying to you your whole life. Naruto freezes. The fox is right. This means Granny Tsunade knows, and Shizen, and Pervy Sage too, I bet. I mean, he said I reminded him of the fourth, and now I get it. And he never said. Tears blur his vision, which is already useless in the dark and winding passages beneath the ground. Naruto desperately wishes he were in the forest or in the village, where he could see where he was going and disappear into his surroundings. He can't, though, and before long, he's walked himself into a dead end. Naruto punches the wall in frustration. Not for the first time in his life, he wants to be completely invisible. He wants to be allowed to crawl away and lick his wounds because this hurts. It does, doesn't it? The fox growls. Wouldn't you like to make them hurt too? Shut up, Naruto whispers, shaking the voice away. His hero, the legend he looked up to in his dreams, the man he's pretended to be whenever he imagined becoming Hokage, is the same bastard who sealed the demon inside of him. He's the same man who Naruto has hated and cussed out since Mizuki told him the truth, and he's his father, some father. What kind of sadistic creep does that to his own kid? Naruto growls, punching the craggy walls again. Was that what he wanted? Punch. For people to hate me? Punch. For me to never have friends? Punch. For people to lie to me my whole life? Punch. Because that's what it amounts to. His whole life, people looked at him with contempt or fear, and he always did his best to make them see him differently. And now he finally has teachers and teammates who accept him, but it turns out all the people he looks up to were keeping this from him. What the hell were you thinking? He hisses to the darkness, to his absent father, to anyone or anything that will listen. Naruto? He whirls around, shoulders hunched, half expecting an attack. Instead, he sees Sakura lingering by the mouth of the tunnel he's wandered into, looking uncertain. In the light of the glow stick in her hand, he notices that her eyes are glassy, and there are smudges trailing through the dirt on her face. She's been crying. A moment later, he realizes the reason these details are so obvious to him is because of the dark chakra bubbling up inside him. The fox is making his senses more acute, the way it does when his anger gets too strong. Go away, he says, speaking to both the creature trying to use his emotions against him and the pink-haired girl. You're bleeding, she says, disregarding his order and taking a few steps forward. Naruto grits his teeth, ignoring the flurry of unwanted, vicious thoughts that project through his brain. Rip, slash, bite, tear, taste, kill. Shut up! Naruto yells at the Nine Tails. He doesn't care how angry he is right now, he won't lash out at his friend. Especially not when she is so obviously in her own kind of pain. I'll be fine, he tells her. You should go back. I need some time. We don't have time, Sakura tells him dully. The longer we're down here, the more we might learn. Things we don't want to. You mean there's something worse than finding out you've been lied to your whole life? Naruto barks out, allowing himself a bitter laugh. I don't see it getting worse than that. You can't be sure if that's how it happened, Sakura tells him. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe in some weird, really messed up way, everyone was trying to protect you. That's complete and utter bullshit. He roars, stalking forward until they are face to face. Trying to protect me? They made it worse. If the third and my father were still alive, I'd punch them both for what they did. Because I wasn't safe, or protected, or anything. Because of them, I didn't even get to know where I came from. I didn't get to hear stories about my family or my parents, or know their names or even have pictures so I could pretend that I knew them. I couldn't even ask them why I was. He can't manage words for a moment, and busies himself with angrily swiping at the tears and snot mingling on his face. Sakura thankfully says nothing. Because of them, I grew up alone, he croaks. If people knew I was the fourth Hokage's son, I might still be alone, but at least the entire village wouldn't hate me. The entire village doesn't hate you, Sakura protests. Lord Third didn't, and Irika-sensei, and Tuchi and Ayam, and Konohamaru, and that's now. It wasn't always like that. I didn't hate you. You used to. No, I didn't. I just thought you were annoying, she says, uncomfortable even with that truth. And it's not like you made an effort not to be. That doesn't make what people did right. No. Sakura's agreement is firm, unquestionable. They shouldn't have done that. If anything, because you're the fourth Hokage's son, they should have protected you more. I don't understand why they didn't do that. Because I have a demon inside me, Naruto doesn't say. That's all he needs today is to lose his teammates by confessing that particular little gem. But as bad as their reasons were, whatever they were, I don't think anyone did that because they wanted you to be miserable, Sakura tells him. You remember what Lord Third was like. he wasn't a bad person. And he cared about you a lot. You know he didn't hate you, right? Which, yes, she has a point. The old man was the only person who ever looked out for Naruto. He always figured it was because he was Hokage and he needed to look out for him. But Old Man Third could have easily sent an aide to deliver groceries or the monthly allowance to Naruto. He didn't need to take care of it personally. And if you think about it, Sakura goes on, Sarada said you, the future you, talks about your father all the time. Like you know him. It's possible, in the future, that you do. So, you were never not going to find out. You just haven't found out yet. Or maybe you were supposed to find out this way. Naruto can't help a soft, somewhat bitter chuckle. Trust Sakura to see the bright side in this whole thing. And what if, somehow, someway, he isn't really dead, he's the hero of the village? Someone would have noticed him walking around, don't you think? I guess. But if you think about it. Well, look at today for example. Sarada's from the future. Or, we're from the past and we traveled to the future. The point is, time travel's possible. It might be in the future that you travel in time, or your dad travels in time, and you get to meet, possibly even yell at him a bit for whatever you're so angry with him about. Naruto's heart lifts a little at this. You think so? Yeah, I do, Sakura vows. And if not, well, if time travel's possible, people coming back from the dead might be possible, too. So someday, Naruto repeats, and for the first time since the truth came spilling out, he notices another emotion rising up in him that he hadn't noticed before, a giddy, trembling sensation that was too swamped by the pain and anger. Now, it's like the fluttering of a tiny butterfly against his stomach lining, because now he knows something, the answer to a question that's been plaguing him his entire life. He had parents once. He had a father. And his father was one of the greatest shinobi from Konoha. He jumps when soft hands take his own, and he notices that Sakura is examining his knuckles. Huh. I guess you didn't hit them as hard as I imagined, she remarks, flashing a brittle smile. You won't even need bandages for this. Which is a good thing because I don't have any left. He flexes his fingers, taking in the slightly elastic tug of new skin. Are you going to be alright? Naruto snorts, because he's really not, but Sakura's got a point. They don't have time to dwell. There's a mysterious time-altering bubble still heading for the village. A future version of Konohamaru is still unaccounted for, along with the rest of Sarada's team. And of course, there's a teleporting clone with a curse seal sitting in an alternate dimension somewhere who might be the solution to all of that. So, he pastes a grin on his face. I'm the son of the fourth Hokage. I'll deal. You can't wait to get home and rub everyone's face in it, can you? Sakura asks, only joking a little. Hell yes. But we have to get out of here first, which is kind of a problem. With all of Kakashi-sensei's markers buried under the cave-in, we could wander around here for days if we're not careful. I guess, Naruto mutters, and then squints around him. There's a lot of tunnels around here. Must have taken forever to build. He scratches his head. I mean, do you think he does it on purpose? Orochimaru? Like, does he look for hideouts because they have a bunch of tunnels he can slither around in, or does he actually build them that way on purpose and then just abandon them after he's done? Sakura glances around as well, then shudders. It looked like the entrance was built. The rest of this place is natural. Probably leftover lava tubes or erosion or something. A lot of the area around Konoha used to be part of a volcanic chain. What? Naruto squeaks nervously, pushing away from the walls of the cave. Volcano? Relax. They've all been dormant for hundreds of thousands of years. Honestly, didn't you ever pay attention in class? Why would I? It's not like there are volcano ninjas. I wonder if that's why Orochimaru chose it, Sakura continues, lightly placing a hand against the walls of the tunnel. All these passages created by underground explosions. It's old and powerful, fits his psychological profile, anyway. He's not exactly subtle when it comes to symbolism. I have no idea what you just said, Naruto tells her, but he sounds admiring. How do you know all this stuff? Sakura shrugs, a little embarrassed. I looked him up a bit. Or a lot. After the Chunin exam, and after what he did too. She trails off, wrapping her arms around herself protectively. Anyway, it seemed like I should find out more about him. It's not like I can do anything else. I'm not strong, like you guys. She pulls back from the wall, her fingers clenching into a fist. I always suspected I wasn't good enough, she whispers, more to himself than to him. But I told myself that if I got stronger and stayed determined, if I wasn't negative and I really tried, that I'd eventually. Don't be stupid. You're good enough, Naruto interrupts. In fact, I think you're way too good for him. Sakura stares at him in surprise. Come on. It's obvious. And the grouchy bastard thinks I'm the dumb one? Ha! He juts his chin out in challenge. It's his loss if he doesn't realize how cool you are. Sakura lets out a small giggle. You're just saying that because you don't want me to hit you or something. Nah. Okay, a little, but that doesn't change the fact that you're awesome. And who knows, it's like you were saying about the future, we can't be sure, right? I bet someday you finally agree to go on a date with me, and then we start dating, and maybe even get married. Sakura bites her lip. Naruto, it'd be so great. We can go on missions together, and join ANBU and be totally badass. And when I'm Hokage, no one will make fun of your forehead anymore. I'll even make a law about it. She can't seem to stop herself from smiling here. And you wouldn't have to cook, which is great because you can't anyway. Hey, so we just go to Ichiraku all the time. And you'd become a teacher or something, seeing as how you're so smart, and how you like to help people and stuff, he finishes. See? It might not be so bad, the future, Sakura sniffs, holding back a sob. It sounds really nice. Yeah, but she's not looking at him. You're a good person, Naruto, Sakura tells him gently. But, Naruto tries to ignore the feeling of his stomach sinking. Damn it, I shouldn't have said anything, he interrupts her. Yeah? I get it. But that's now. You might not feel the same way forever, right? We're only 13, so things could change. Sakura bites her lip again, and to Naruto's disappointment, she shakes her head. I'm sorry. It's just, I can't see you that way. You're my best friend, guy friend anyway. Naruto makes a face. Great, more like a brother. That's not any better. A brother who I trust more than anyone else in the world, Sakura continues apologetically. And who always makes me want to do better. And if anyone makes you feel bad about yourself again, they'll have me to deal with. But she trails off, like there are more words waiting in the wings, but they hurt too much to say. It's not just her pain she's worried about either, but his. Which is Sakura all over, really. She doesn't like to hurt people, and ever since that day when they were assigned to the same team, she's made a huge effort to be nice to him. The occasional beating aside when he says something stupid, or what she thinks is stupid anyway, Sakura is one of the people who stands up for him, at least when she thinks he's out of earshot. She yelled at the apothecary last week for making snide comments and overcharging him. Okay, that's a little better. The second part, anyway, Naruto allows dully, although he's not particularly happy about the confirmation his crush will stay unrequited. He's always sort of known deep down, but it still sucks. You're the only girl in the village who doesn't mind hanging out with me. Even when we're not on missions. Oh, come on. No, I'm not. No, see, this is why you have to take pity and date me, Naruto says, struck by a sudden flash of insight. Otherwise, I'm doomed to be alone the rest of my life. You wouldn't do that to me, would you, Sakura? He's only half joking. Instead of taking pity on him, though, Sakura just snorts. You're an idiot, she tells him bluntly. Hey, you are. Hinata has been following you around since before we were at the academy. You've just been too busy making trouble and shouting about being Hokage to realize. Naruto stares at her, brain trying to register the information she's giving him. It doesn't make any sense. Huh, she likes you, dummy? Weird, mumbling, shy Hinata? The heiress to one of Konoha's most important and powerful clans? Likes me? No way. Don't you ever wonder why she passes out so often around you? Well, yeah, he does, but he supposed she just had low blood sugar or something. Nothing to do with. Actually, he casts his mind back across the years. She's always been so nice. I always assumed it was just because she was a good person, but she's never looked at me the same way as everyone else. With that hate in her eyes, he shifts uncomfortably, feeling his ears turning warm. Stop messing with me. I'm not. Everyone's noticed, even Sasuke, and he never notices stuff like that. Her temporarily upbeat mood promptly disappears. Naruto hurries to get it back. You're dreaming, he informs her, hands on his hips. And to prove it, when we get back, I'm gonna take Hinata out for ramen and ask her. You can come along too, and see how much you have no idea what you're talking about. Sakura allows herself a small smile. Okay, if you say so, and afterwards I'm going to help you get over this whole messed up future thing. She makes a face. It's not messed up. It's just strange to imagine Sasuke having a daughter. Hey, it's weird to imagine of any of us having kids, Naruto corrects. Well, I can sort of picture you having kids, but me and Sasuke? It's like I said, no one's ever going to want to be with me. Hinata, Sakura pretends to cough. And I never really figured Sasuke even liked girls, if you get what I mean. Naruto, no! Come on! I'm serious. He's totally clueless about them. You have no right to say that, she giggles. Unless some miracle happens in the future, and he suddenly turns into some kind of. What's the word for a guy who has a lot of girlfriends? A player? That's it. That would never happen. It might. I mean, he has a daughter, so it obviously happens at least once. Thanks for that mental image, Sakura mutters. Do you figure it's only her? Or are there more? Naruto wonders, and a moment later, looks properly horrified. Oh no! What if we've stepped into some kind of nightmarish future where Sasuke has like 20 kids running around, all mini versions of him? Sakura lets out a short laugh. And he married Ino, Naruto sniggers. And he became Hokage. They stare at each other. This isn't funny anymore. Yeah, I think I'm feeling worse now. Should I go look for them? Sarada fidgets, anxious from inactivity. Kakashi may need to languish here recovering his strength, but she is tempted to find the genin members of Team 7. She wants to ensure Sakura and Naruto are all right, and there's even a part of her that wants to check on her surly teenaged father. We've already split up far more than I would advise, Kakashi replies. If you disappear now, we would definitely have a problem. We can't even be sure if Sasuke went the same way as the others, or off on his own. He sighs. This has been one of those missions where no one ever listens to me. I take it that happens a lot? You'd think they'd have learned their lesson by now. The last time, Sasuke and Naruto ended up glued together for 3 days. Sarada can't help the inelegant snort of laughter. Even in her time, as close as her father and Lord Seventh are, they can't be around each other for more than an hour or two. After that, one or both of them are ready to throw punches. And how'd that go? Ever seen what happens with a snake when it's born with 2 heads? Sarada grimaces at the imagery. It was like that only without the actual decapitation, though I'm pretty sure if they'd had another day of it. Kakashi looks amused, exasperated, and thoughtful all at once, which is quite an accomplishment for someone whose face is half covered by a mask. You may get to see that if we don't get out of this place sooner rather than later. Neither Sasuke nor Naruto have the most patience, and I'm not looking forward to any more cave-ins while we're down here. Sorry about that, Sarada says, glancing at the wall of rock behind them and wincing. How can you be sure we'll find a way out anyhow? All of your markers are on the other side of that, aren't they? There will be a way out, Kakashi reassures her. Based on Orochimaru's personality alone, there has to be. He's known for always having an escape route. If we take into account the experimentation going on in that lab, I'd bet he had more than a few secret exits created. It's only a matter of finding one, so summon another dog to sniff out one. That's an option. But it won't be to get us out of here right away. There's something more important that needs doing, like bringing our ghost clone friend back out, he explains. It will take a lot of chakra to open the portal again. I might not be ready for a while, and even if I manage it, I won't be strong enough to deal with him once he's out. We need to find a secure location, somewhere with enough room to build wards that can hold him while we question him. At the same time, I don't want to do it out in the open. Too much can go wrong, so we need to see if there's another chamber or something down here. Exactly. How do you know he's still, in there, other than the fact that nothing can get in or out without my knowing it? I put a tracking mark on him when we fought, just in case he pulled another disappearing act. If he had managed to get away again, I would have been able to follow his location. That would have been useful to help us find a way out of here, too, Sarada sighs. So, can you walk yet? Kakashi glances down at his legs as if he has to address them to figure out the answer, and then replies, No, I don't get it. My father never gets as weak as you do when he uses his space-time jutsu, she grumbles. Off his narrow-eyed expression, she defends herself. I didn't say what he can do or anything. Just that he's got his own thing that he does, and let's keep it as vague as that. It's not information I want the Sasuke of today having. Whatever his ability, your father still experiences some kind of exhaustion. Yeah, a bit. It's worse for me because I don't have the Uchiha bloodline to draw power from. I tire easily when I use the advanced capabilities of my Sharingan. You're not kidding. Did you really have to use that Kamui thing then? Was he that strong? With time, and if I didn't have to worry about you four, I might have managed. But I was already lagging, and if he didn't use that as a chance to take you all out, he might have teleported away when he started to tire. And then we'd have to worry about another surprise attack later, Sarada realizes. Kakashi would not take the chance of another encounter that could lead to his squad being wounded or killed. Exactly. Why is he so powerful anyway? My teammate, he said it had something to do with that weird rash. Kakashi's eyes become hard. The cursed seal. He called it that too, but we were attacked before he could explain it. If your teammate is your age, I'd question how he could know anything about cursed seals. I guess in the next 20 years more research is done on the subject, which I actually can't tell you about because I've never heard of them, Sarada declares. She's relieved that at least there is something she isn't going to accidentally reveal. But what's the short version? It's a particular trademark of Orochimaru. The brand increases chakra levels and physical capabilities when the subject activates it. But she isn't so young as to not realize that everything comes with a price. There's a 9 in 10 chance of dying during the marking process. And those who survive tend to experience fits of rage and mental instability, to an extent, Kakashi explains. That's all we know right now based on the information gathered from the only 2 survivors we have access to. So that's why he's so angry and crazy. Angry and crazy? But you're talking about Sasuke. Kakashi and Sarada glance up at the 2 shapes illuminated by the light of a glow stick. Naruto has his hands in his pockets, looking more reminiscent of his brooding teammate than the cheery boy Sarada has become familiar with. Although he has a small smirk on his face, there's a harder edge to it than usual. Don't be mean, Sakura orders, nubbing him lightly with her shoulder. She offers Kakashi a wan smile. Look who I found. Sorry I ran off, Naruto says, scuffing his feet against the cave floor. Kakashi pulls himself up as straight as possible and fixes the blonde boy with a softened gaze. Naruto. I want to apologize, he says. Not mentioning your father to you. It wasn't just done for the reasons you think. Sakura looks mystified, but from the set of Naruto's jaw, Sarada suspects Kakashi is referring to the Ninetales within him. She has never encountered the demon herself, outside of its energy, but her father has. A raging ball of negative energy and dark intent, only kept in check because of its respect for Naruto, he told her once. It was not long after the incident with the Shin Uchiha clones. I hope the situation never arises where you have to deal with such a power that has been so corrupted. This advice from your average parent might sound like concern in the face of some fearful monster, but with her father, it was more cryptic warning laced with double meaning, like most of what he says. Sarada gets the sense that while her father might not fear the Ninetales, he certainly respects it. That itself is enough to make her wary as well. Lord Forth had many enemies, Kakashi continues. If people outside of the village found out you were Minato's son, you would have been in danger. It's fine, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto says without the usual upbeat note in his voice. Following the Hokage's orders, right? If the old man and Granny Tsunade and my father told you not to say anything, what else were you supposed to do? Kakashi blinks, obviously having not expected that. So I'm not mad at you, Naruto continues, before looking fierce. But me and Granny are going to have words when I'm allowed to remember all this. Kakashi and Sarada are both surprised by that comment, but Sakura shrugs. We talked about it on the way back here, she says, her tone a little duller than normal as well. It makes the most sense that at some point we'll have to forget all of this. She shoots an undecipherable glance at Sarada. It looks like none of us can actually keep a secret from each other. Just acting like we don't know what's coming in the future probably won't happen. So, the safest option is to forget, right? We'll cross that bridge when the time comes, Kakashi tells her. Yeah, Naruto sighs, then fixes Kakashi with a pleading look. But can I just... I mean, for right now, can I? Did you know my mom, too? Sarada's heart breaks a little at this. She knows exactly what Naruto is feeling right now, and it takes all of her willpower not to go over there and hug him. He probably wouldn't know how to react. Kakashi, too, appears to be having some difficulty because he swallows convulsively a few times before nodding. Just for right now, he tells Naruto quietly, and the boy's face lights up. Her name was Kushina. Kushina Uzumaki. So I got her name then? HM. What was she like? What were they both like? Sarada and Sakura listen in as well, curious expressions mirroring one another. Looking at you always reminds me of Minato and Kushina from back then, Kakashi admits, and then chuckles lightly. Minato never wore quite that shade of orange, though. But otherwise, you look exactly like him. And my mom? She had the same face shape as you and the same smile. But her hair was red, and that came out in her personality. Which is another trait you share. Tears pour unabashedly over Naruto's cheeks, but he makes no move to wipe them. Sarada feels her own eyes become a little damp as well. So all along, Lord Seventh knew how I was feeling that day. She spent so many years wondering about her father, trying to understand why he wasn't in her life or how she was connected to him. She might have had photographs and hazy memories, but it always felt as if a huge chunk of her was missing. Mama has never been able to completely get what that feels like, and even though Boruto does to a certain extent, it's not the same. Naruto lived the same thing, only worse, and he handled her feelings in much the same way as Kakashi is doing right now. She wonders if, somehow, that means they'll remember after all. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto murmurs, "Thank you." Kakashi's eyes are gentle. "One day, when the time is right, I'll tell you everything I remember about your parents," he promises. "But right now, our priority has to be getting out of here. And getting you off your ass." Naruto chuckles, though it comes out as the tail end of a sob. "That'd be nice." "Yeah," Sakura gasps and digs into her pouch. "I just remembered. I grabbed some of them before when we were helping Sarada." She holds out several of the pellet-like replenishment pills. "Will they help you?" "They won't hurt," Kakashi agrees, reaching out to take them. He moves to pull his mask down, and suddenly, Naruto and Sakura are both leaning close, their eyes riveted to his face. Just before he can remove it, however, the glow stick in Sakura's hand sputters and goes out. "Damn it!" Naruto curses while Sakura hangs her head with a groan. Sarada is momentarily confused by their outbursts. Squinting through the dark at Kakashi, she notices the wide grin there, a rare but not entirely unknown sight to her, and a conspiratorial wink. Then she remembers. Of course! They haven't seen him without his mask on. Even in her time, she knows it's a source of unending curiosity for her parents and uncle. Sarada's mother has made odd excuses to check Uncle Kakashi's temperature, while Lord Seventh even tried to pass a statute making masks illegal in Konoha. Her father pretends he's above it, of course. Somehow, though, whenever they have Kakashi over for dinner, he lingers far too close to his former sensei than would be considered polite. Sarada has caught him peeking with his Sharingan when he thinks no one is watching. Another glow stick snaps open, revealing Kakashi again, mask still intact. "Is it some kind of bloodline ability?" Sakura asks, squinting at Kakashi in the dark. "It's got to be," Naruto agrees. Kakashi appears perplexed. And nothing." The genin chorus. In any case, Kakashi clears his throat. "Did either of you notice any possible exits while you were on your own?" "Yeah, there's a bunch of other tunnels," Naruto says. "A lot of dead ends too." "So?" He trails off, looking around with a frown. "Hey, wait a minute. Where's Sasuke?" "He went off a little while after you did," Sarada answers. Probably in a different direction, I guess. We have to go after him," Sakura declares. "He could be in trouble, or hurt, or lost, or behind you," a familiar voice drawls. Sasuke appears behind his teammates, hands in his pockets, looking as surly as ever. "Sasuke! Are you alright?" Sakura asks, reaching out to him before she seems to remember herself and pulls back. She holds her hand to her chest, uncertain, and asks, "Where'd you go?" "To find a way out," he replies, although he doesn't look at her. In fact, he's avoiding everyone's gaze except Naruto's. It's almost as if he thinks the blonde boy is the safest one to speak to right now. Sarada almost feels sorry for him. "Did you find one?" Naruto prompts. "There's one tunnel that sounds and smells like it leads to water. If we follow it, we might end up outside. Or it's an underground river with no actual exit," Sarada counters. "Which doesn't help me find my team." "You still think they're alive after all this time?" Sasuke speculates. Sarada glares. That bit of sympathy she just felt disappears as soon as it appeared. "Unlike you, my heart is connected to the people I care about," she retorts. "I would know if they were dead." "That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. 20 years from now you won't think so." "Sarada," Kakashi warns. "Sorry." Sakura clears her throat nervously, obviously taking on the job of cutting the tension. Sarada gets the sense that it's a habitual role of hers. "Can we just make a decision? Not that I like the idea of following an underground river or stream to somewhere we don't know, but it's the only idea I've heard so far to get out of here." There's a sudden poof and without warning, Pakin appears out of thin air several inches above Naruto's head. Sakura shrieks in surprise while Sasuke jerks slightly before recovering himself. "Ack!" Naruto and the dog topple to the ground. "What the hell?" "Sorry, kid," the tiny pug grunts, picking himself up and shaking his entire body. "The trip was a little rougher than usual." "I'm not surprised," Kakashi remarks. "We're stuck in some sort of time bubble." "Ah. Now it makes sense. I was wondering about that when you summoned Pakin before," Sarada speaks up. "He's the one from your time, not mine." "But you're in my time right now, so shouldn't future Pakin be the one showing up?" "It doesn't work that way," Pakin tells her, cocking his head to one side as he studies her. "Summoning is a contract with blood and soul. My pack and I are tied to Kakashi's current self. His future self could no more summon me than my future self could summon this version of Kakashi. But why? It actually makes sense, if you know anything about biology, Sakura points out. A lot of the cells in the human body replenish themselves every few years. So, a blood contract depends on the blood you use right at the time when you do the summoning. I guess it keeps you linear, the dog huffs. Way to break down the mystery behind a centuries-old ritual, kid. My head hurts, Naruto groans. Chapter 10. Anyhow, Pakken turns his attention to Kakashi. Lady Tsunade is doing as you suggested. She sent out whatever squads were in Konoha to surround the bubble. They're keeping tabs on how fast it's growing and making sure no one else goes inside or comes out. Good, Kakashi says. Since it's a gateway to another time, we don't want more people crossing over than we already have. When you go back, make sure you tell them that. I'm sure A and B will need to be called in to ensure any of the Nukkinen they've been tracking in the area don't stumble in. What are you going to do? We've immobilized the person we think is responsible, or at least someone who has been using the situation to his advantage. It's all just a matter of dealing with him. No offense, boss, but you look like you can barely sit up. Forget dealing with a potential enemy. Time's an issue. I can summon you back home, Lady Tsunade can heal you, and there would be others around to help you out with the interrogation. No. We can't be sure if this person is from this time or our time, Kakashi replies. We can't remove him until then. Even if we did, there would be no way to bring him back. Once I'm outside the bubble, you won't be able to travel back here. Can you reverse summon Lady Tsunade? Sakura suggests. She can heal Kakashi and Sarada. No, Pakken replies. The only reason I can get here is because I'm tied to Kakashi. If I tried to bring anyone else along, we might get lost. It might be rare, but time travel complicates things. So, we need to find someone in the Konoha of Sarada's time, Naruto realizes. Kakashi-sensei, future you and my father would probably know more about how to deal with this, Sarada says, side-eyeing Sasuke warily as she speaks. We only need to get a message to them and they'll be here in no time. I can summon a toad. Naruto volunteers. Didn't you hear what we just said, idiot? Sasuke snaps. Your contract is tied to your time. That won't do us any good, and it'd probably be that tiny, gross baby toad, too, Sakura adds with a shudder. We need someone who can summon things from this time. I could do it, Sarada says. I don't have a contract with any summons, but I'm from this time. Once I get some of my strength back, I can try. You don't have a contract scroll, Sasuke points out. No, but thanks to my mother, I've always gotten along with Lady Katsuyu. So, at worst, I'd end up in Shikatsu Forest for a bit. Who? Sakura whispers to Naruto. Giant slug, he replies, and an expression of disgusted horror overtakes her features. Sarada looks at her in amusement. Lady Katsuyu could heal me and Kakashi-sensei. There's too high a probability that something might go wrong, Kakashi dismisses. You're still weakened for one. And it's not likely that a genin will be able to summon a creature as powerful as Lady Katsuyu the first time. There's no time for trial and error. Unfortunately, he's right. As time moves differently in the places where most summoning animals come from, she might accidentally end up there for days or weeks. They need someone from this time who already. After a beat, her eyes brighten with an idea. Konohamaru-sensei. Huh! Everyone watches her in confusion. Konohamaru-sensei can summon toads. I've seen him do it, she remembers. Kakashi raises an eyebrow. That's interesting. The Sarutobi clan usually favor monkeys from King Enma's court. He frowns in thought, then shakes his head. But that's still complicated by the fact that we have no idea where he or the rest of your team are, or if they're even alive, Sasuke reminds her. I don't care if you are my father. If you keep saying that, I'm going to punch you, Sarada informs him with false civility. Naruto guffaws while Sasuke scowls at her. Pakken blinks, looking from Sarada to Sasuke, raising an eyebrow. Well, that's not complicated at all. We're having a bit of a day, Kakashi admits. I'm getting that. The dog considers Sarada. It's funny, you don't smell as much like him as I'd expect. You smell more like. Time for you to go, Pakken, Kakashi interrupts. Keep me notified if anything major changes. Right, boss. The dog disappears again, leaving Sarada and Team 7 alone in the dimness. So? Sakura breaks the silence, sounding uncertain. Underground river, right? It turns out that there are more to having a plan than simply getting up and following Sasuke. Everyone's still a little on edge, and Kakashi, although able to stand now, does so on wobbly legs. With their strongest member severely weakened, the squad can't afford to have anyone else occupied with helping him walk. We could summon that big dog of yours, Naruto points out. The huge one. Were you not just listening when we spoke about how hard it is to summon here? Sakura demands. Well, we wouldn't be sending him back and forth or asking him to take back anyone, Naruto protests. If we're quick about it, maybe we can manage before summonings become too impossible. No. I already suggested it, Sarada says. Lore, Kakashi-sensei's too weak right now, both in terms of physical strength and chakra reserves. Well, he doesn't have to be the one to do it. We just need his blood, don't we? Everyone stares at him. What? It's true. I saw Kabuto do it once with Orochimaru, back when me and Pervy Sage went to get Granny Tsunade. That's not a bad idea, Sakura says, sounding surprised and admiring at the same time. Naruto beams the way he usually does when Sakura notices he's done something great. He might never have a chance with her, but it's still nice to be acknowledged by his friends. Even if the other one responds not with praise, but with a scowl, that wouldn't work unless the person using his blood has excellent chakra control, Sasuke points out. Which means you're out. Shut up. You're not much better than me, asshole. Remember who learned to climb trees first? It wasn't you. And how many times would you've become paste on the ground if I hadn't saved your worthless hide? Not so worthless. Turns out, I've got as impressive a family as you do. I don't care if you are the 4th Hokage's son, you're still a dead last loser. Say that again. I dare you, both of you, shut up, Sarada cuts them off, the sharpness of her tone oddly reminiscent of Sakura. I can do it. My chakra control is on point. You've been pushing yourself all day, and you're still healing from a major injury, Kakashi reminds her. Sarada's face flickers with pain, as though she'd completely forgotten about her injury and had just been forcibly reminded of it. The only one with the right kind of control to attempt that right now would be Sakura. Sakura's eyes bulge, and she wonders if she's heard correctly. And me? Her voice comes out cracked, and she swallows. No way. I'm not strong enough to do a summoning. I don't have enough chakra or, you'll be fine, Sarada tells her, inexplicably confident. You don't know that, Sakura protests. For all I know, you just met me today. Sarada looks like she wants to say something to that, but abruptly changes her mind and instead replies, I trust Kakashi-sensei's judgment. There's a sentence that inspires terror, Sasuke murmurs under his breath. Are you sure that's really smart? Sakura questions. Maybe she was dropped on the head as a baby, Naruto wonders. You all know I can hear you, right? Kakashi points out dryly although his students ignore him. I'd trust him with my life, Sarada insists. And my parents have always respected his judgment, too. Naruto snorts and grins at Sasuke. You were saying? Despite his earlier remark, this information doesn't surprise Sasuke. He might not say it out loud, but he respects his teacher more than anyone else in Konoha. All the other adults look at him with pity because of what happened to his family. Beyond that, there's always an odd air of distrust that's been there since as far back as he can remember. As for his peers, with the recent exception of his teammates, he has no use for them. Ever since the day he passed the team, Kakashi has spoken to Sasuke as if he were an adult. More than that, he's taken an interest in teaching him jutsu to strengthen him. Out of all of his teachers since the massacre, Kakashi has done the most to help him get closer to his revenge. And of course, there's the fact that he's the famed copy ninja. It's hard not to respect a shinobi of such ability, which is probably why Sarada's mother feels the same. Whoever she is, he always treated me like one of his own kids, so, Kakashi-sensei has kids? Naruto demands, cutting off Sarada. Her face takes on the deer in the headlights look everyone associates with her accidentally revealing more than she should. I didn't say that. I meant if he had his own kids, he'd treat me like one of them. In the future, would that even be legal? Sasuke wonders. Wait a minute, is this that girlfriend you were pretending to have? Naruto guffaws. Kakashi-sensei has a girlfriend? Sakura gasps. Kakashi chooses this moment to speak up. Sarada, this is the thing we talked about not doing, remember? Right. Shutting up now. Except that doesn't stop his mind from busily racing away, trying to parse the implications of potential kids. Kids, not a kid but several. Multiple tiny versions of him and whoever is unwise enough to have children with him. Because really, what kind of crazy person has the patience, or insanity, to put up with him? Forget that. Who would he ever get close enough with to even consider having children? He's not even sure he deserves kids, even if he wanted any because he's never really wanted to have. Now is not the time to get distracted, he chastises himself. Sarada, whatever your relationship with us is in the future, right now, we can't afford you treating us like friends or family members. For however long this mission lasts, or at least until we get back to your team, These are your comrades and I am your commander in the field. You do whatever I tell you, without question, and don't let your feelings get in the way. Right. There's a reason that family members are not meant to be on the same squad. Sasuke isn't sure if it counts, considering they haven't become family yet. He knows if he says anything about that, though, he'll have his teammates emoting all over him, so he decides it's best not to point it out. Okay, I mean it, Sarada. I'm not your friend or whatever you consider me to be. Right now, I'm your superior. Yes, sir, Lord Sixth. Everyone stares. Sarada realizes what she just said and resists the urge to smack herself in the forehead. Can we pretend that's just from the overwhelming pain in my arm? Good idea, Kakashi says tightly, a vein near his temple twitching. Lord Sixth? Naruto sputters. Not now, Naruto. There's iron in their teacher's tone, and everyone sobers. Our focus has to be on the mission. And if we're going to go with your idea, we need Sakura. She bites her lip, uncertain. Right, Naruto says. With effort, he tries to get his brain to stop blaring the words Kakashi and Hokage at him. He shoots Sakura a tense smile. You're totally strong enough to do this, Sakura. I mean, even Sasuke thinks so. The aforementioned squad member folds his arms in front of him but doesn't refute the statement. And if you need chakra, I can lend you some of mine. I've got lots. You don't even know how, Sasuke reminds him. So? I'll figure it out. Naruto, your chakra is unpredictable, Kakashi reminds him, though that's not exactly the word he wants to use. And your control isn't at the level you need to be entirely successful. We need a perfect mix of control and power, especially given the time differential we're working with. Naruto pouts, the demon fox sniggering in his head. Just because they have a point doesn't mean he has to like it. Sasuke, on the other hand, while your control is less refined than Sakura's, if I talk you through the process, you should be fine. Sasuke bristles at being referred to as second best, but he also looks at Sakura for the first time since he returned from his walkabout. He has to remind himself that Sarada never gave him a straight answer. There's no point in acting as if Sakura is walking around with an expiration date, one he may or may not be responsible for. She's alive right now, which is the important thing. If Sarada ever reveals different, well, he'll deal with it somehow. He doesn't know how, but it's all he has right now. He considers his teammate, who fidgets a little under his scrutiny, then squares her shoulders in determination. There's a tiny wrinkle in her brow, one he's come to associate with resolve in the face of a new challenge. Okay, she finally says, and Sasuke finds himself nodding as well. Kakashi draws his scroll out, and tells them to face each other before once more biting into his finger enough to draw blood. After tracing the name of the summons on the parchment, he reaches for Sakura's hand and presses it flat against the contract. Her palm presses into the blood, causing small trails that haven't been absorbed by the paper to seep between her fingers. Picture who we're calling for, and keep his image in your mind, he informs her. You have to keep track of several factors when summoning: the size of your target, the reason you're calling upon them, things like that. Then adjust the amount of chakra you draw into the blood seal. He gestures for Sasuke to place his hand over Sakura's. You will provide that chakra, but Sakura will channel it through the blood and into the contract. To do that properly, I need you both completely in sync. There's a brief hesitation, but then Sasuke leans forward and covers Sakura's hand with his. The effect is immediate. Sakura feels the blood rush to her face, and any thought of what she's supposed to be summoning is promptly replaced by the most irrelevant thoughts. Sasuke's hand on mine. That's never happened before, not really. It's almost like we're holding hands, only we aren't. Oh, his palms are calloused. Why didn't I ever imagine that? And his hand is bigger than mine, it almost completely covers. Sakura? Kakashi prompts, cutting off her moment of hyperventilation with the raising of an eyebrow. I'm fine, she squeaks, mentally chiding herself to focus. There's no point in getting excited. It's all a moot point now anyhow. Hey, asshole. You'd better not take advantage of this, Naruto grumps and then curses when Sarada steps on his foot. Would you be quiet? They have to concentrate. I'm just saying, Naruto. There's warning in Kakashi's voice. Geez, sorry. In the meantime, Sakura takes a deep breath and closes her eyes, forcing herself to focus on everything else but the warm hand over hers. She's only recently trained herself to sense the chakra of others, at least to the extent that any non-sensor type can, and that's only because it seemed like the next logical step after considering her excellent chakra control. It's easy to pick out Sasuke's chakra, even if she wasn't touching him. It's strong and a little astonishing, but familiar to her in the same way Naruto's and Kakashi's are. With Sasuke, though, she feels other things, ominous power, but a sense of protectiveness. And beyond that, a dark something is curled there, deep inside, muted. It's almost as if it's been walled off, and though she's not trying to touch it, her senses reach too deep and she recoils. Her eyes shoot open, a cold, twisted nausea hitting her at the same time that Sasuke pulls back like he's been burned. Sasuke? Kakashi prompts. It's nothing, he grunts, and Sakura clears her throat, adding, I'm fine. With only minor hesitation, she puts her hand back down in the blood and waits for Sasuke to do the same. It's the curse seal, she knows. That's where that terrible sensation comes from. She knows this because it's the same one she experienced when Orochimaru trapped her and Sasuke with his killing intent, forcing them to experience their deaths. That ugly, disgusting chakra hidden within Sasuke, crouching like some kind of gremlin, is his and doesn't belong. Sakura grits her teeth. She's even more determined now. Maybe if they get out of here sooner, they can question the teleporter that Kakashi trapped. If they find out more about the curse seal he has, perhaps they can find out enough to help get rid of the one branding Sasuke, which means she needs to focus. Sakura's chakra control has always been based on visualization, and so, that's what she relies on now. She imagines her chakra as if it's a key, an incomplete, broken key that's not quite sculpted properly to fit the door represented by the summoning scroll. Sasuke's chakra is there, close enough for her to reach out and draw it to her. She pulls little slivers of it to herself, and shapes it into the spots which are lacking on her key. She fits it into the cracks and grooves, pressing the tumblers on the metaphysical lock. Throughout all of this, she has to be careful. If she opens herself to it too much, Sasuke's chakra will overwhelm her. It already feels too hot, fire and lighting searing her skin where he touches her. But if she just opens up a little, like the floodgates on a dam, that'll be fine. It's just a matter of being careful and keeping in mind the creature they want to bring to them and, there, with a final pulse of both their chakra moving in tandem, the scroll bursts with light. Sakura and Sasuke quickly move out of the way, and a puff of smoke later, the space between them is occupied. A large, hulking bulldog dressed in ninja gear sits there, frowning. Of course, that could just be his usual expression. Boss? He directs at Kakashi. Sakura laughs out loud in genuine pleasure. We did it! She cries. She experiences a peculiar wave of exhaustion, but it's not enough to tamp down her sense of accomplishment. They actually succeeded in summoning an animal together. It's an advanced technique that only Naruto has managed to date. It might not be a giant toad, but Sakura can't help but think she's moved up a level in her ninja training. She beams at Sasuke, who looks as if he expected nothing less. There might actually be a hint of a smile on his face, and she refuses to believe that it's just the shadows cast by the glow stick. Their eyes meet. For a second, she pretends that they share the look. The one he's given Naruto many times in the past. The one somewhere between acknowledgement and grudging respect. It almost feels better than the memory of his hand on hers. My summons are still better, Naruto grumbles, and it's as if he's released a genjutsu. Reality intrudes once more. Sasuke's expression hardens, and he looks away. Sakura fights back a painful twinge in her heart, but does that same. Only to notice Sarada looking between her and Sasuke with an expression on her face that Sakura interprets as reproach. Right, that's exactly what she needs. To be judged by Sasuke's daughter because of her overly obvious crush. Bull, I hate to ask, Kakashi says, voice rising above her inner turmoil, but we're in a pinch. Once Kakashi is draped over Bull's impressive bulk, discussion turns to their next move. The place I found is this way, Sasuke says, already turning to lead the ragtag group off into the unknown. Hey, hold on. Wait. Naruto interrupts. We have a dog now. Can't we just smell our way out? You know, in case your way leads us to a dead end or another monster-filled lab or something? Bull rolls one lazy eye at Naruto as if to protest having his importance limited to sniffer dog. Sarada knows he won't say anything though. Out of all of Uncle Kakashi's summons, he's the most reticent and doesn't bother with sentences when a single word would do. Still, he makes his response plain by trudging off toward the tunnel Sasuke pointed out earlier. You smell something, Bull? Kakashi questions. The dog nods. Is it more half-dead bodies and rotting monsters? Naruto adds. Because we did that before and it didn't really turn out all that fun for us. Bull snorts, almost in derision. People. He grunts. Alive. Oh, that's a relief, Sakura sighs. Blood, Bull finishes. That's less of a relief. No, wait. That's good news, Sarada interrupts. Sort of. Mitsuki and Konohamaru-sensei were hurt, remember? Maybe that's what he's smelling. They're alive, or it's some unlucky hikers who fell down a hole in the forest and ended up wandering down here. Lost, Sakura points out. Well, we can't be sure until we look, can we? No point in arguing about it. Kakashi cuts them both off. If both Sasuke and Bull agree that this is the most likely path, we follow. So stay sharp and follow Sasuke. The surly teen doesn't react beyond doing as he's told. Everyone else follows, and soon, they've fallen into another defensive formation. Naruto, now over his momentary protest, wanders beside Sasuke, as if refusing to be led by his friend and rival. Sarada trails a bit behind them, keeping an eye open for possible ambushes, because, based on what she's seen so far, she wouldn't be surprised. She wonders if Mama, Sakura, grabbed more than replenishment pills from the laboratory because her arm still stings like it's filled with a million fire ants. She wants to ask, but the pink-haired girl doesn't seem very comfortable right now. Sarada suspects it's a few things, not least of which is Sarada's identity, and she has to stop herself from comforting her. Mama would welcome it, but this young Sakura would probably get defensive. Also, her body is so tense right now, Sarada suspects any sudden surprises might lead to her throwing punches. Sakura might not have super strength at this juncture in her life, but she can still do damage. The tunnels continue to wind, splitting into several new branches. Sarada marvels that Sasuke got so far on his own so quickly before, and even remembered the way back. The marvel is somewhat diminished, however, by the overwhelming eeriness of the channels themselves. After hours without seeing sunlight and being forced to breathe the dank underground air, Sarada is jittery. Every shadow seems like an enemy, and every sound, the portent of attack. One moment, all she can detect are the regular echoes of their party's footsteps. The next, it's a distant dripping sound. Occasionally, she imagines she can hear scraping or digging. Just as she tells herself it's only the sound of earth shifting, more noticeable to her now because they're all underground, it changes again. She imagines breathing or panting and can't fight down the temptation to look behind their little group to make sure nothing's followed them. Hers isn't the only unease because, after several minutes, Naruto decides he's had enough of the silence. It's not fair, he complains, his voice, unnaturally loud in the tunnel, causing everyone to jump in surprise. Why is he gonna be the next Hokage? He doesn't even want to be, Sakura mutters quietly behind Sarada. It figures he wouldn't be able to let it go for long. And what kind of moron chooses a porn-reading, always late, mask-wearing weirdo to be Hokage, anyway? Hey! Wait a minute! He lowers his voice conspiratorially, although it's still loud enough to be perceived. If Kakashi-sensei becomes Hokage, they have to put his face up on Hokage Rock, right? They can't do that if he's wearing that mask. He nudges Sasuke, ignoring the savage elbowing he receives in return. We'll finally be able to see it. No, you won't, Sarada points out, unable to help herself. She justifies it because it's not exactly something that will cause time and space to collapse. The rock sculpture has a mask, too, Naruto groans, shoulders slumping. Are you kidding me? Sorry, no way, that's not right. So no one in the entire village knows what their Hokage looks like? What if it's some weirdo, like Orochimaru, in disguise? How can you even tell it's Kakashi-sensei? There are people who've seen him. Even I've seen him without his... What? How? Naruto whirls around, gaping. How'd you manage it? Well, when I was little, he used to play a Nai with me. And he showed it to all of my academy class at our graduation exam, sort of. It wasn't really a big thing. Are you kidding? This is a huge deal. Tell us what's under the mask. It's a matter of village security. Sarada giggles because, right now, his earnest determination and utter exaggeration remind her so much of Boruto. The sound seems to startle Naruto and Sasuke because they both turn around and stare at her. What? She asks. Sasuke quickly turns around without answering her. But Naruto replies, it's only, I didn't think Uchihas could laugh. It's kind of scary. Sasuke clenches his fist. Hey! Sarada protests, unable to stop herself from putting her hands on her hips, before remembering why that's a terrible idea. She sucks in a pained breath. Naruto is by her side. Are you okay? What's wrong? She shattered the bones in her arm. And you're asking what's wrong? Sasuke mutters under his breath. Idiot. It's called being considerate, Sasuke. You'd think you'd be able to at least fake that, seeing as how she's your future daughter. Sasuke doesn't have a response to that and returns to his sulking, slouching walk. Speaking of future kids, Naruto continues, a smug note in his voice. Do I have any? Or do I get to be a super popular ladies' man with dozens of girlfriends, living the bachelor lifestyle? He pretends to flex his muscles. I can't tell you that, Sarada reminds him. Ah, come on. A hint? He cajoles. He lowers his voice even further to his version of a whisper. Come on. Kakashi-sensei isn't even paying attention. It's true, when Sarada checks, it seems like he's drifted off against the very large dog's head. I just want to find out if I'm going to be super different. Not really, Sarada says, her lips twitching a bit. You're still the same kind-hearted person in both times. My father and you are still friends and rivals. You respect each other. That doesn't sound like me, Naruto says while Sasuke mutters, like that would ever happen. They share a glare. You still do that too. I guess telling me if I get to be Hokage is pushing it, huh? Since you already let the cat out of the bag about Kakashi-sensei. Just a bit, Naruto gives an exaggerated sigh. Fine. I guess I'm just not meant to find out. But, he jabs a finger at Sasuke. If this guy's dreams can come true, I know I can make mine come true too. I will be Hokage after Kakashi-sensei, shouted a little louder, idiot. I bet they didn't hear you in Suna, Sasuke grumbles. And more important than that, I'm gonna be the best uncle ever and make sure you turn out normal. With a father like Sasuke, I'm amazed you're not emotionally stunted. I mean, he hasn't even apologized yet. For what? Sasuke demands. Sakura's feelings are hurt. And it's your fault. Again, Sarada turns slightly to see Sakura staring resolutely at her feet, pretending not to listen to the argument. Based on the clench of her fists and the flush of her cheeks, the reality is obviously different. She opens her mouth to tell the guys to knock it off, that this definitely isn't the place for such a spat, but Sasuke speaks before she can. What the hell do you mean again? When have I? He cuts off his furious, hissing retort and exhales through his nose. Even if I had anything to apologize for, which I don't, what would be the point if it's something I haven't even done yet? Yee, shut up. You have no idea what this is like, finding out secrets about your life, learning about family members you never realized you had, getting angry at people who don't deserve the blame. Naruto pretends to tick things off on his fingers. Oh, of course not. I have no idea what that's like. Sarada raises her eyebrows at that because sarcasm is usually her father's weapon of choice. She's never known her uncle use it. Of course, she's never heard him, or eavesdropped on him, having a serious conversation with her father either. It's different, Sasuke maintains. No, it's not, Naruto argues. And that's another thing. You're making a huge deal about all this, like it's the worst thing in the world you could find out, that you have a family. That one day, you're going to have a kid and a wife and achieve your dreams and that's all you see, isn't it? Sasuke demands, seemingly forgetting his earlier attempts to keep his voice down. Everyone comes to a stop. That's all you see. It's all just a matter of hard work for you. A game, a competition. And you can only ever go up from here, right? Well, that's not how it works, Kakashi rouses. Boys, now isn't the time. Is that what you think? Naruto demands, cutting off his teacher's warning. Something flashes across his blue eyes that looks equal parts livid and hurt. You only ever see what's right in front of you. You haven't even thought to ask what the price is, have you? Sasuke continues. Sarada suspects she's the only one close enough to notice his gaze flit toward Sakura and back. So, that's what he's been brooding about. He's still trying to figure out if Sakura is the person he will kill to get his Mangekyo Sharingan. Sarada is sick at the thought. What price? What are you talking about? Naruto demands. Underneath, Sasuke sneers. You never learn that, no matter how much Kakashi tries to teach you. Face it, you're not cut out for this life. It's a life of blood and sacrifice, and it's not simply about hard work and believing in yourself. One day, you'll learn that, and when you do, I hope I'm there too. Whump! Sasuke reels backward, clutching his jaw. A bruising heat blossoms over the knuckles of Sarada's left hand. She knows the only reason she landed the blow was because her father was expecting it to come from Naruto. You need to shut up, she orders him. The things you're saying about the people who care about you. In what world do you have the right to treat people that way? Naruto is shocked, but still attempts to speak to her. Sarada, no! She moves, physically putting distance between herself and the boys. I'm tired of you taking out your anger on everyone else. Whatever's bothering you, lashing out at the people who care about you will not fix it. Sasuke's eyes narrow at her, glinting red in anger. You understand nothing. You're right, I don't, she retorts, her own Sharingan rising to the surface. All I ever wanted was to get to know you more, to find out what you were like when you were my age because you never talk about it. But you know what? I totally get it now. There's a reason you don't talk about when you were a kid because you're a jerk. I can't even figure out why my mother fell in love with you or why Naruto cares about you so much. You treat everyone like they're stepping stones. She jabs a finger in Naruto's direction. At least, he never stops being a completely genuine person. You are a disappointment. He turns to face her more fully, his stance reminiscent of someone expecting a second punch. You can't say that to him. Sakura cries and Sarada hears her stepping forward. You don't understand. Why are you defending him? Sarada challenges, fury turning briefly on this useless girl. She's angry at her too, mostly for not having become the mother she knows. He treats you worst of all. You can't. He doesn't. Sarada isn't in the mood for her young, besotted mother's attempts at defense. She continues to face Sasuke, willing him to understand she means everything she's saying. I don't know what happens in the future to change it, but I hope it happens fast because you need a serious attitude adjustment. Shana, she barely catches herself in time, or so she thinks. Sasuke inhales sharply. Naruto and Sakura have reflexively turned to Sasuke, expecting him to lash out, or yell, or do something. Even Kakashi has dragged himself into a more alert position, waiting to break up a fight. No altercation arises, however. Instead, red eyes flit across Sarada's face, searching for something. They linger on her forehead, then dart beyond her for a second. It's only for a second, a heartbeat, but it's long enough for Sarada to notice. She knows the only thing, the only person, behind her is Sakura. Sasuke's eyes return to Sarada's face, and she watches them flicker back to unfathomable black. The rest of his face smooths out into that familiar mask of blankness. Does she imagine it or have his shoulders relaxed a bit? Before anyone can figure out what just happened, he abruptly turns on his heel and stalks down the tunnel. Sarada is panting in still simmering anger, although it's quickly being replaced by confusion and a small note of panic. Sasuke continues to retreat, not fast enough for him to be stalking off, but the dismissal is clear. And given what she's pretty sure he's finally figured out, it makes no sense to her. Everyone else seems wrong-footed as well, judging by the expressions on their faces. Even Kakashi looks like he's trying to parse his students' behavior. As usual, Naruto is the one to break the confusing and awkward silence. You just punched your dad, Naruto remarks with forced levity. Better hope he doesn't remember any of this, or you're totally grounded. Sarada doesn't bother telling him it's the least of her problems. Chapter 11. Sasuke hasn't gone far. He isn't sure whether it's because some logical part of his brain knows it would be a bad idea, or because the feeling in his legs is disappearing. He doesn't really care, either. There's too much that he's trying to wrap his brain around, not least of which being that, apparently, his future child hates him. He can't deal with that reality just yet, though, because one notion has pushed to the forefront of his mind and is blaring at him in fiery characters. It isn't Sakura, the person he will one day kill to gain the Mangekyo Sharingan which will allow him to defeat his brother and ensure he can safely restore his clan. The person whose only crime will be that he cares for them most in the world. Not Sakura. She will live. The relief is palpable. Bewilderingly so, actually. He's never been completely indifferent to the girl. She's simply been relegated to a place in his mind where he puts everything he intends to deal with after he kills Itachi. Whatever he might feel toward her now is irrelevant, or so he insists. It's the same thing he tells himself whenever anyone starts to get close, even if he sometimes forgets, and it's just further proof that keeping himself distant from Sakura is the best. Perhaps that's why she lives. Based on what he's experiencing now, a weight lifted from his shoulders and a warmth in his chest, he hasn't kept as much distance as he thought. His squad, especially Sakura, have come to mean more to him than he will ever admit out loud. True, she's damned annoying. He can't even remember her before she was trying to conceal her crush on him. And then when she wasn't. If she just didn't make a huge deal about it, he might willingly spend time with her. Strictly speaking, she's the only one on the team whose intelligence is on the same level as his. It wouldn't be so bad, spending time with a person who could actually discuss topics that go beyond the realm of ramen or erotic fiction. There's also the small matter of her being slightly terrifying. He will never, ever, admit this. Sakura's temper is on a hair trigger, and Sasuke's very glad that Naruto is the one she beats on, because he's seen the bruises. If the moron didn't have the lucky ability to heal quickly, he'd be in the hospital every other week. Sasuke has enough mental and emotional scarring in his life. He's fine without adding physical abuse to the pile. But beyond those minor quirks, Sakura is likable. She's the only truly innocent person he knows. Unlike the rest of Team 7, she has no dark past or horrifying secret. She has never known loss, has never truly hated anyone in her life. No matter the situation, she exudes an aura of approachability that Sasuke could never achieve even with years of practice. Her temper aside, Sakura's gentleness and kindness are something that make him and Naruto want to protect her from being taken advantage of. Which is why it makes sense that both he and Naruto, who hides his crush even worse than Sakura does, are both drawn to her, in their own ways. Except, as it turns out, one day, it will just be Sasuke. One day, that kind, bright girl is going to be his. She will, inexplicably, wait for him to finish his hunt for Itachi, agree to marry him, and then help him restore his. Sasuke goes rigid. A rush of warmth floods his cheeks and the back of his neck as the implications of this knowledge hit him. They have a daughter. Possibly other children. There's only one way for that to happen, which means he and Sakura, one day, will. Sasuke can't help the convulsive swallow of realization. It's years before he really needs to worry about that sort of thing, but perhaps he should speak to Kakashi about practical concerns. No, scratch that. Kakashi would probably hand him that stupid book of his. Who the hell is he supposed to talk to about this? It's a good thing Sasuke doesn't make a habit of acknowledging Sakura more often, because he will have a hard time looking her in the eye from now on. Embarrassment aside, he can't help but feel hopeful. For the first time in his life, since he can remember, anyhow, a part of him is looking forward to the future. Only for a second, though, because there is a very real, very inescapable truth looming up behind his recent discovery. That he won't have to kill the girl he, possibly, probably, but will never admit to, has feelings for. That there's still someone out there. Someone whom he will kill to destroy Itachi, which raises a whole other issue because who else is there? He isn't friends with, or even close to, any of the other kids from their academy year. As for the adults, he doesn't really interact with them. Perhaps he meets someone new in the future? Except, that makes no sense. He doesn't crave friendships the way he knows his teammates do. He would never go out of his way to become close to someone. Unless he does? Does his future self seek out someone to be close to just for the sake of murdering them one day? It's what Itachi would do. All the warm feelings Sasuke had moments ago are gone now, replaced with a sinking sensation. It's the same nausea he experienced when he believed it was his destiny to murder Sakura. If it's true, and he becomes as cold and calculating as his brother, why would Naruto ever respect him the way Sarada says he does? Why would Kakashi, apparently, the future Hokage, permit someone like that to stay in Konoha? After all, those who betray the people who are precious to them are scum. And why would Sakura wait for him? It's enough that she's apparently willing to forgive him the fact he will kill his own brother. What does it say about her that she would forgive him for manipulating another person into a close relationship just so that he can kill them? Either she has a secret sociopathic side to her, he dismisses this at once, possesses an impossible, even insane, capacity for forgiveness, or he doesn't tell her, which would explain some of the things Sarada has said. The girl, and it's still next to impossible to see her as his daughter, has mentioned knowing nothing about his past. The Sasuke of the future apparently hasn't even explained the Uchiha massacre to her. What's to say he also chooses not to tell Sakura what he will do, to kill his brother? The notion is at odds with what Sasuke imagines marriage is supposed to be like. He only had a few short years with his parents, but their partnership was seamless. He knows that there were no secrets between his mother and his father, that they respected each other. In many ways, they provided as strong a team to one another as any active three-man squad. His mother attended every clan meeting with Sasuke's father, mediated disputes between neighbors on his behalf, and helped him with paperwork. When she wasn't caring for Itachi and himself, of course, she once told him of conversations she had with his father about topics neither of them ever mentioned in his presence, so obviously, they communicated somehow. Except Sasuke remembers nothing spoken. There were times he witnessed what looked like entire conversations between the two. Given the fact either of them ever said a word, he's not sure they were actual conversations, but it seemed like it. Is his marriage to Sakura going to be one based on secrets? If so, Sarada's declaration that he's a disappointment rings far truer than he's comfortable with. But he's getting ahead of himself. Sasuke wills himself to ignore the convoluted mess of thought and emotion trying to take up residence in his brain. Right now, all that matters is the mission: find an exit, find Sarada's teammates, and stop this whatever that's mucking around with time. Then he can safely forget all the complicated stuff and leave it to his future self. He experiences only a modicum of guilt at that idea. In his view, his future self already has a hell of a lot more than he has. Let him deal with unpleasant truths and conversations. Right now, Sasuke prefers to deal with problems that he can either reason out or punch, not necessarily in that order. The world filters back into his perception, no longer blocked by messy or complicated notions. He attempts to concentrate on anything but those thoughts, such as the subtle way heat radiates upward from the ground, the whistle of air through the many tunnels which is occasionally interrupted by a scraping, echoing rhythm, or just the smell of the earth. Anything but the girl that he will marry one day. You can't say that. He hears Sakura hiss at Sarada. Why not? Sarada challenges. It's not like you're going to say it, even though you obviously want to. Sakura scowls at this. It's true, she's torn between defending Sasuke's character and running after him to make sure he's alright. While her inner self grumbles that Sarada didn't go far enough, she can't help worrying that the girl's harsh words might have cut deep. She knows how Sasuke takes things related to his family to heart. Naruto does as well, and when she glances at him, she sees the conflict in his features as well. Sasuke just insulted him, which isn't new, but this may be the first time someone outside of Team 7, a technical stranger at that, stood up for him. Moral gray area or not, however, she doesn't like how Sarada behaved and something tells her it's her duty to point that out. You are a hypocrite, she tells the girl plainly. Saying things like that to Sasuke, yet you haven't known him for more than a few hours. Sarada opens her mouth to protest, but Sakura keeps going. He might be your father one day, but right now, he's some kid you don't even know. Would you go up to a stranger and say things like that? Your mother, whoever she is, would be ashamed of you. Sarada's anger fades instantly. In fact, the speed with which she looks contrite and chastised almost makes Sakura take a step back. Fine, she says after a deep breath. I'll talk to him. She makes a move to follow Sasuke, but adds over her shoulder, a little sulk in her voice, but I'm not apologizing. Because I was right. She hurries on ahead, leaving Sakura even more mystified than she was when Sasuke didn't snap back at Sarada. Naruto rubs a hand through his hair, expression bemused. I'd better make sure they don't kill each other. He blinks once, mentally going over that statement in his head, and then sniggers. Wow, I never thought I'd ever say that. You and me both, Sakura agrees and lets him go. There's no use in her checking on Sasuke if his future child and his best friend are there to do it. More and more, she's realizing just how superfluous she is, and it's not a pleasant feeling. Not the only unpleasant feeling, she decides, becoming aware that she is being watched. Indeed, her sensei is considering her from his position on Bull's back. Once again, Kakashi finds himself in the role of having to console a distraught teenage girl. He would have thought he was done with this sort of thing years ago, but it keeps cropping up. It might not a comrade's death he's dealing with, but it's still a young girl who believes her heart is broken. While it's tempting to tell Sakura about Sarada, he knows better. Especially with the way today is going. Sakura cares so deeply, with her entire heart. If she knew, she'd just overexcite herself, or do something foolhardy. He's still trying to evaluate whether that's something he has to worry about from Sasuke. You'll be alright, he tells her instead. You're more than the person you care about, you know. You don't have to do that, Sakura tells him with a tiny, untrue smile. Do what? Try to cheer me up. Naruto did that already. He's worried about you. I am too, Sakura sighs. Everyone is so worried about me. It's nice and all, but I'll get over it. It's not like I'm surprised. I mean, we're 13. And I'm not from a prestigious bloodline, like Sasuke and Sarada. Or Naruto now, considering the whole fourth Hokage thing. The odds were never good. I knew that. I've been calculating probabilities since I knew how. Sakura, you shouldn't be talking, she goes on. You should be concentrating on healing and getting us out of here. Which, you know, I kind of want to do today at some point. Talking isn't going to make me pass out, Kakashi points out wryly. Yeah, okay. Well, I can be better at keeping my feelings in check. I don't need your pity. I'm not pitying you. Then you should be checking up on Sasuke, she replies, a hint of iron in her voice. She doesn't want to discuss this. Which Kakashi understands. They're in a cave where things tend to echo. While Sasuke might be preoccupied with his, more bizarre than usual, family drama, he will, hopefully, put that aside for the mission. Sakura doesn't want to take the chance of him listening in, worried that he will judge her for her feelings. He's probably dealing with information overload right now, she continues, insightful as usual. I bet he doesn't even know what to do with it. Besides, I know you don't like me as much as you like the boys, so consider this your free pass, okay? Logically, Kakashi should take this as an out. The ninja life is not easy on those who have deep feelings. At the same time, he's struck painfully by the idea that Sakura believes he doesn't like her. Or that he doesn't value her as he does the boys. You're wrong, he tells her. You might not be as strong as they are now, but you can always get stronger. You have a lot of potential and a lot of determination to succeed. Or at least I thought so up until this moment. He raises an eyebrow at her. Beyond that, you're a lot less emotionally damaged than your teammates. Don't know if you've noticed that. Maybe a bit, she admits with a tiny laugh. Good. Then you should also notice that you're not the one dragging them down. They have their own hang-ups and problems which do that job for them. If they had half your maturity, the whole team would be a lot more effective. Sakura blushes. That's not to say you don't get uncontrollably emotional about certain things, Kakashi continues, but that's something you'll grow out of. Don't worry about it. You might wear your feelings openly now, and certain others might not appear to have any, but that will all change. Boys mature, too, and they'll eventually catch up to where you are. His eye rests on Naruto's retreating back, although, perhaps not. The point is, I don't like the boys any more than I like you, Kakashi concludes. You are all my adorable students. Okay, she whispers quietly. But, I will be alright. I promise. Yes, you will, Kakashi's eye crinkles in a smile. There's a bit of a pause. So, are we supposed to hug now? Sakura asks. I don't really do hugs. Good. Because that would be kind of weird. Sarada catches up to Sasuke with ease, falling into step beside him. She scowls, as much at the situation as at him, while he broods and avoids her gaze whenever she turns to glare at him. Both expect the other to speak first, even though she knows from experience that's futile. This is not the brooding silence she's used to, but it's a brooding silence, nonetheless. There's no point in pushing him to talk if he doesn't want to. Naruto apparently never got that memo, even at this age, because he bounds between them. So, can you two read each other's minds or something? 'Cause this sure doesn't look like talking to me. It looks like you're trying to silence each other to death. Which would be kind of cool, but also really bad, believe it. We're on a mission. Geez, Sasuke. It's like I need to tell you everything. You're always holding me back. Sasuke's eyes shoot daggers at Naruto, but the blonde boy seems entirely unfazed. Sarada imagines that his clenched fist is beginning to spark blue, but before she can say anything, Naruto pulls away from them both. He inclines his head upward and sniffs. Hey! I smell water now, too. He pulls ahead of them, beaming. I'm going to check it out, but I'm not going too far, so you two better play nice. Don't make Uncle Naruto separate you. He chuckles and bounds onward. They stare at his back, and Sarada thinks he's way more amused by this whole time travel thing than he should be. Uncle Naruto, indeed. And practically baiting her father like that? He has a death wish, she says in surprise and almost resignation. Her childhood fantasies are being crushed all around today. Sarada jumps at the unexpected acknowledgement. Sasuke is back to looking straight ahead, but there's a little less tension in his gait. As irritating as Naruto's interruption was, apparently it broke through some of his gloom. The mutual silence is less menacing, but still awkward. Behind them, Sakura and Kakashi are talking in low voices. Sarada does her best not to listen, but it's hard considering how sound carries. She wishes Naruto hadn't left because he could probably have made this whole thing a lot less awkward and, you're just as annoying as she is. Sasuke's words are pitched low, so as not to carry, but Sarada hears them fine. She side-eyes him in disbelief because he did decide to speak first, after all. She smirks, the gesture amused but bordering on bitter. Too bad for you. I know for a fact that's a compliment when you say it. There's another lengthy silence. She decides to give in this time. I'm still not apologizing. Neither am I. Fine. Good. More silence. And then, are you going to tell her? Sarada startles at the question. There's not enough inflection in it to discern how he wants her to respond, even if she could decide on what to say. I want to, she finally admits. But it's not a good idea. She's very different now. At this, he abruptly pulls ahead of her and Sarada gets the odd sense that she said the wrong thing. He makes it several paces in front before turning around, looking at her directly for the first time. There's nothing worse than being lied to, he tells her. Believing one thing about a person, and then finding out, at the worst possible moment, that it's nothing but fabrication? He leaves the question hanging for a second, then resumes walking. I'm going to make sure that idiot doesn't get lost. Sarada gapes at her his back. It almost sounds like he wants her to tell Sakura? Not necessarily because he cares for her, although Sarada is beginning to suspect that he isn't as indifferent as he pretends. It seems, he doesn't want her to be kept in the dark. It's a sentiment Sarada understands only too well. She knows what it's like to have people keep secrets. She remembers the overwhelming, crushing pain that consumed her when she believed her parents had lied to her. When she concocted a scenario where Sakura wasn't her mother. And even when the truth came out, she still experienced a sinking, hollow despair because Mama hadn't told her the real reason for her father's constant absence. But who lied to Sasuke? Sarada doesn't think it's anyone on his squad. They don't appear to have secrets from each other. Except for Naruto being a Jinchuriki, of course, but that's not so much a personal secret as something that affects the fate of Konoha. In any event, she's going to have to consider the merits of telling Sakura. Or at least, find out from Kakashi if she can get away with it. By now, 2 of the 4 people she was trying to avoid telling know the truth. It can't make that much more of a difference, right? Sarada decides to wait until they're less likely to have the world cave in on them. If they manage to find another space where it's relatively safe, she'll bring it up then. It feels like an eternity before they finally get out of the winding darkness. The cavern that Sasuke spoke of before is audible before they see it. The low, rumbling rush of water grows louder until their tunnel opens into a vaulted, natural cavern. Stretching out immediately in front of them is a large, flat space that fronts a subterranean river. The water is black in the darkness, swift eddies visible just beneath the surface. There's no sign of where it originates from, but on the opposite side of the grotto, the current picks up. At one point, the water may have spilled over into a natural fall, but there's evidence of human interference. The water on this side of the riverbank seems to be some kind of reservoir, and it meets at what appears to be a makeshift dam. Aged, but functional, equipment is set up along the construction with one mechanism attached to a kind of floodgate. On the other side, where she supposes the waterfall once was, there's nothing but darkness leading to unfathomable depths. Naruto is standing there, craning his neck over the abyss. How far down do you think it goes? How bad do you want to know the answer? Sasuke replies. The question sounds sinister despite the mild tone. Sarada sharpens her gaze, noting that the steep slope and natural spillway are lined with algae. There would be nowhere for anyone to hold on to if they fell down that way, chakra grip or not. She shudders. That must be how this place is powered, Sakura observes quietly beside Sarada. She jumps, having not heard her mother appear behind her. She follows Sakura's gaze to the makeshift dam and realizes she's right. The only reason for such a thing to be built down here would be to generate power. Looks like there's another tunnel, that way, Kakashi says, passing them both. He is walking now but hasn't sent Bull away. The large dog Lopez at his side, nose twitching toward the opening Kakashi pointed out. Is that where you smell people? The dog makes a low woof of agreement and heads in that direction, Kakashi following. Looks like we'll get you back to your team, finally, Sakura says tentatively. Yeah, silence. Sarada wonders if it's her destiny to be completely awkward around both her parents in this time. How's your arm? Sakura asks. Sarada examines the badly mangled appendage, wincing at the sight. It's bleeding in a few places where a stitch or 2 may be popped, and it's covered in dirt from their impromptu escape. I think my dad, or Sasuke, was right. I'm probably going to need it cut off, Sakura snorts. Don't be so melodramatic. The medicine we gave you is keeping the infection down. We just need to clean it up, and put it back in a sling. Come on. We can do that now. Sarada blinks in surprise as Sakura steers her toward the side of the river. And the award for spontaneous personality change might not be going to Papa after all. You're not going to shove me in the river, are you? She asks, only half joking. Only if you mouth off again, Sakura replies sweetly. They can't really afford to take more rests than necessary. But if Sarada doesn't see to her injuries, she won't be of any use to Team 7. Or her own team, when they find them. That's probably why Kakashi allows them to fall behind. Sasuke scopes out the cavern while Naruto takes off his jacket and rummages through his pockets. After a few minutes of labor, he finds what he was looking for, a candy bar, and happily begins to munch on it. Meanwhile, Sakura sets to work on Sarada's wounds. Shouldn't Kakashi be doing this? Sarada points out. I have the same basic medical training as you do, Sakura retorts in a clipped tone. Besides, I watched what he was doing before. It's really not that difficult. Sorry, I wasn't trying to insult you. I just... She trails off, earning a puzzling look. Sakura sighs. No, don't apologize. Today hasn't exactly been easy, which is really putting it lightly. I won't lie, Sakura continues as she works, gently rinsing dirt and blood from the injury. Sarada grits her teeth, but endures the pain. Finding out that Sasuke's your father wasn't what any of us expected when we woke up this morning. She bites her lip, sheepish. But it's also not an excuse. Sarada is confused. Excuse for what? I haven't been as nice to you as I might have been if... She goes quiet, and Sarada suspects she wants to make sure Sasuke's not listening in. Sarada's eyes dart across the cavern at him, where he's pretending to be, she suspects, utterly absorbed in examining the dam. Sakura finally continues, "It's not your fault that I. She scowls, more at herself than at Sarada, and forges ahead with resolve. "I bet your mother's amazing." "She'd have to be. My mother's the strongest kunoichi in Konoha, maybe the world. She could be Hokage, if she wanted to," Sarada says loyally, unable to ignore a sense of smugness at the way Sasuke jerks slightly in surprise. She was right. He is pretending not to listen. There were actually a few times when she was suggested as a successor if something happened to the current Hokage. "Actually, it's sort of the story for both my parents." She sighs, a little unenthusiastic now. "I don't think my father would ever." "Well, he said he doesn't like the idea of his face on a mountain." Sakura chuckles at that, and though it sounds a little forced, it's a welcome sound. "That doesn't surprise me." There's a beat of silence. It seems almost as if the conversation is over, but then she speaks again. "Your mother, she isn't Ino, is she?" Sarada whips her head up in surprise. "What? I can't tell you that. Even if she really wants to. Kakashi's too far away for her to ask him, and she just wants to make sure it's allowed before. My knowing that won't make the world implode," Sakura cajoles. "Yeah, but, just tell me." But Kakashi-sensei isn't even listening. He's reading that stupid book of his. "What?" Again, Sarada cranes around to see, and it's true. He's surreptitiously stuffing the orange book back into his pocket, the jerk. "Exactly. So you can tell me, and it'll be just between the two of us." And Naruto, the blonde boy, pipes up, appearing beside them as if by summoning. Unlike Sasuke, he doesn't even bother to pretend he wasn't eavesdropping the whole time. "And Naruto," Sakura amends, shooting him an annoyed glare. "Who, according to you, is your uncle, so you should listen to him." Is that even logic? Sarada wonders, confused. "No, but nothing about today has been logical." "Now tell me." Everyone waits with bating breath. Sarada exhales. "No, it's not her." "Oh, thank goodness," Sakura whispers and then barks out a laugh. "Ha! That's the best news I've had all day. I guess that competition you two have isn't a new thing, is it?" "It's not a competition, it's an epic rivalry," Sakura sniffs, but then lets out a single hard laugh. "I guess there's no real point to it anymore, though. The whole reason for it was. Anyway," she says, clearing her throat, then considering Sarada. "I hope he doesn't get mad at me, but we're going to have to sacrifice some of Sasuke's shirt. I'm all out of bandages, and you need a new sling. I figure, in the big scheme of things, he's probably not concerned about his shirt right now," Sarada points out. Sakura nods, thoughtful. With a kunai, she carefully cuts and tears a long strip of blue fabric away from the bottom of the shirt. Sarada notes, she's careful not to rip the Uchiwa symbol though, which is an oddly touching gesture. "There's something that's been bugging me," Naruto says, watching Sakura fashion a sling for Sarada. "Before, when you were telling us those embarrassing stories to make us trust you, you didn't say anything about Sakura." "Well, She's not sure how to deal with this question. The reason she didn't say anything about Sakura was because Mama tells her a lot about herself, more personal and embarrassing things than what she knows about the others. She doesn't think her mother would appreciate her revealing some of those secrets." "That's just not fair," Naruto continues. "Shut up, Naruto," Sakura orders, a tight smile on her face. "No, seriously. We need to hear something embarrassing about her, too. It's not like I've hidden anything from you. We go on missions in close quarters all the time, so you guys already know all the really personal stuff." "Yeah, but Sarada wouldn't." "Well, maybe she doesn't spend much time with me," Sakura suggests slightly. The effect is ruined by the pain note in her voice. "I mean, she'd have to with Sasuke and Kakashi-sensei and you. You guys are her father's teacher, and her father's best friend. TCH. Sasuke's no longer pretending not to listen in. She has to be close to you guys, but that doesn't mean she is with me. I'm just..." She trails off, as if can't find the right words to explain exactly what she is. That expression makes Sarada's stomach clench because she suspects what her mother is imagining about herself right now. Naruto appears to be on the same train of thought. "You're not," he tells her. "Whatever you're thinking, you're not. Sarada knows you. Right, Sarada?" Two sides of Sarada are at war. The practical one, who understands Kakashi's wish to limit information exchange, is fighting with the emotional one. The one who finds it imperative that her mother lose that pained expression on her face right now. "They're going to forget anyhow, right?" "Not necessarily," Sakura says quietly. "I might not have ever met her." "What? Why would you say that?" Naruto demands. "Because I could be." You pad your brow. Sarada blurts out desperately. What? Naruto and Sakura chorus, in various states of dismay. You didn't get proper breasts until you were 14, and they were still small, so you. Stop it! Sakura shouts, frantic. Stop talking right now! Ah man, Naruto complains. So, you're gonna be flat-chested for another 2. Shut up, Naruto! Sakura howls, drawing back and smacks him in the head. Even without the strength she will one day have, the force is impressive. He ends up staggering backward toward the tunnel they came from, past a suspiciously red-faced Sasuke. Why would you say something like that? Sakura howls at Sarada. I'm sorry! It was the first thing I could come up with. It's the first topic that comes to mind because it's the last thing she and her mother discussed before she left on this mission. Why would I even tell you that? Because we know each other really well, Sarada says, mentally trying to sort out what she can and cannot reveal. The result is a sudden outpouring of nervous babble. You're my best friend. Well, adult friend. Well, okay, so, I never really got along with the other kids my age, because I'm an Uchiha, and other reasons. And Chocho's kind of flaky, even if she's my best friend. I love her and all, but she's kind of a diva, which is annoying. But in the future, you and me, we get along. Whenever I had problems at school, you were the one who helped me deal with them and everything. And you always listened to everything I have to say and try to comfort me when I'm sad. And when I was little, you take me to the park and she's trying desperately to come up with information, or at least information that she's allowed to share. At which point, she shoots a desperate look at Kakashi, asking his permission. There's a twitch beneath his mask, like he's trying to hold fast. Sarada's heart leaps at this, because she recognizes that twitch. It's the same one she used to see when she cajoled an extra bedtime story out of him when he babysat. Or when she convinced him to take her to get dango before bringing her home for supper. Hey, that's kinda cool, Naruto is saying, massaging the blossoming bruise from his teammate's assault. Sounds like I was right before. I bet you become a teacher, Sakura. Kind of like Irika-sensei. That wouldn't be so bad. SNKT. Naruto's words are cut off by a sudden yelp of surprise and pain. Everyone watches in horror as 4 short, curved claws punch through his left shoulder. The sound of tearing flesh fills the air as the sharp blades dig deeper. There's barely time for anyone to react as he's thrown clear across the room, blood spraying. In the space behind where he stood, a figure looms. Bones poke through his skin and tattered clothing, gashes seep across his face and body. The parts of him that aren't sticky with blood and dirt are slowly covered by a growing curse mark. Gaunt, haunted eyes like a wild animal glare out at them, hungry and malevolent. Apparently, one of the experiments survived the cave-in.